Frank Moses and Sarah are now living together for it's a very short period of time between the first one and the second one. And their relationship is extremely difficult because neither one of them has actually ever had a relationship. And they both want something different out of it. And, you know, the thing that was fun to me when I looked at these characters is you look at someone who's been in black ops and you have to figure they got into the military maybe at 18. So what's their practice at having a relationship or a family? Nothing, right? In fact, it's a complete disaster to have any relationships whatsoever. Anyone you're in love with compromises you. So now all of a sudden he's in his 50s and a relationship crops up and now he has to be involved in the same world and it's a disaster for him. It's his Achilles heel. And she's never had a guy that she really loves. She loves this guy, and she wants to be part of his life. The last thing he wants is for her to be part of his life because she'll die. So it's a great conundrum for a relationship. What's great is Victoria had relationships in context of her work. She's a balanced, strangely perverse, but balanced individual. Because she acknowledges that you could die at any moment, and that's exactly what you need to do to have a great relationship. You need to commit to it and make a choice and move forward. You can't be afraid of it. And so she's actually an example of a great, perfect relationship. Her relationship with the Brian Cox character is deeply loving and balanced and wonderful because it's based on the fact that they might kill each other at any moment or be killed, which is life, really, you know? And I think, if anything, the wonderful thing about the movie is that it eventually celebrates that fact, that you have to commit to a relationship completely and not be afraid of it. And these two characters are, at least when they start. I guess the best way to set up the movie is introduce the opening, which is Frank Moses and Sarah shopping for a power washer and some shrimp. And he has now made the decision that he has to retire, and it's a good thing, even though he doesn't really believe it, because he has to keep her safe. And he can't involve her in his life, and he can't have the life he used to have. She, on the other hand, is bored as hell, doesn't understand what happened to this exciting guy she married, and wants that adventure and excitement back again. And that's the dilemma, and that's what starts the movie. From that moment on, they get involved in this worldwide adventure that takes place in 4 or 5 different cities around the world and puts them on all kinds of jeopardy. But the biggest jeopardy for them is will they make it as a couple? Will Sarah get what she wants? Will he get what he wants? Or will he understand what she wants, really? There's 2 sides to Frank Moses. When it comes to his relationship, that's his Achilles heel. So he's completely uncomfortable with that. When it comes to action, he's Superman. So and he's a very tough, committed, sort of brilliant black operative for 50 years, and he's been able to age into it and adapt to it and still basically succeed extremely well. So he's incredibly competent as a black op. He's a disaster as a husband or a boyfriend. Sarah's character is a little different because in the first movie she had a very distinct story. She's taken prisoner by Frank and then is the witness to all of this insanity and then becomes a party to it eventually. In this one, she wants that back. She finally got a life of adventure and she wants more of it, and Frank doesn't want to go there. And so she's desperately attempting to become part of this group, to become a member of this team. And she doesn't quite find her way in for a while. In fact, she will derail them on many occasions in her attempt to find her way or her place in this group of people. So it's a different thing for Mary-Louise to play, but she reveled in it, I'm afraid. Mary-Louise and Bruce together are just perfect. I mean, they play off one another. I find in the editing that I'm playing two shots much more than singles, because to watch the two of them work with each other it's just, I guess, because they did the first movie together, but it's so symbiotic, and the timing is so much fun that you don't want to cut away from them. And it's sort of in that old, Tracy Hepburn way, where they're working off one another. So their chemistry, especially their timing, it's just great to watch. I mean, it made it easy. And when they started improvising, it was always just a fantastic place you'd watch them go to. So it was great fun, actually. The relation between all of them is pre-established. So the group works really well together. They all have established something already. So it's quite fun to have to come into a situation where the characters have already established themselves and the actors have already established a routine, and now they get to take it the next step. And it's fun when it works because they're all working off one another. They all know these characters. There's no process of discovery. You actually take it the next step. It's great fun. It's Tony Hopkins. It's astounding to have him in this movie. And the first time I met him, he said, "Please call me Tony." So Tony would send me, when we first started talking about, when we first met, he started working on the character like 3 months ago. And he would send me emails. Well, what if he wore these shoes? What if it was loosely based on, there are these 5, they're called the Cambridge Five, I think. They were double agents, famous double agents, and in London, in England, who went over to the other side during the Cold War. And he wanted to loosely base it on these guys who are all kind of professorial and quite brilliant. And so he started developing this character, and just to watch him, of course, I encouraged everything that he's doing because it's just brilliant. And he kept forming this character, the music he listened to, the Cambridge tie he wore, everything. So when Tony got there and we started the first scene, we were just all our mouths were hanging open because it was formed, and really Tony really he took off from the Hoeber's character and really came up with something I think quite original and quite interesting. And without spoiling anything, he's quite an interesting character, and the nicest guy, just a dream to work with. I mean, it's a great honor to actually to have worked with him. First of all, I mean, it's everybody's dream to shoot in Paris. It was mine anyway. I'd shot a movie in Paris like 25 years ago, so I couldn't wait to get back. The difference is when you have this level of movie star, a lot of people form on the street while you're trying to shoot. And eventually they get in the background of your shot, and then eventually they make a lot of noise, and eventually you can't shoot anymore. So we had 1 or 2 days where it became just impossible because we didn't have enough people to wrangle these crowds that were forming. And we're shooting at very beautiful, recognizable locations. So along the Seine and next to Notre Dame, and then in front of the Louvre. And so it was not always easy, but it's just so, it's like every inch of that city is shootable and is amazing looking and has so much character and is so distinctly that place that wherever we turned on the camera is amazing. So it didn't matter where we went, although we went to some great places. I mean, we lit the Pantheon in the middle of the night. I mean, and an entire street. I mean, all along the quays and the Seine and Notre Dame, and it was fantastic. London's also an incredible city to shoot. We shot both in the city and outside the city in these gorgeous estates, that have all been abandoned now by the lords who owned them, who now apparently live in the gardener's shack and take care of the place for the tourists. But there were some fantastic locations we had. In general, I think you really, in this one, I hope, will feel like you are in these environments. You really will feel these cities, and you'll have an adventure that takes you through them. So it was quite fun. Jon will just do anything. It's just, and he's just brilliant. I mean, it's every take is something else, and which I encourage. So everybody is constantly. Once we go through what we're shooting, according to the page, we open it up and try things. And Jon is just brilliant at improv. It's fantastic. Actually, they all were. So it was quite fun, actually, because then you discover these little moments that just didn't exist. She's basically playing this Russian double agent that Frank Moses had an affair with, and Frank Moses is the love of her life, which she's been holding a candle for him for years. Catherine's character is the worst thing that Mary-Louise's character, Sarah, could have seen, which is someone who Frank had this long affair with, who is brilliant at black ops, who is the best agent coming out of Russia,